Welcome back to another short Legacy video where we have Bomberman vs. Tempo Doomsday. A huge thank you to the Patreon supporters who are helping the league and the YouTube channel. If you would like to become a supporter, please click on the link in the show notes. If you've been enjoying our content, please be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. Hunter's on the play, keeping 7, and Peter on 6. And Hunter's going to lead off with an Undercity Sewers and a Scry, see if he finds anything he likes. Looks like he does, and he's going to finish up his turn with a Lotus Petal. Peter on the Bomberman, which we don't see very often, but his decks are beautiful, and we can appreciate that. Ancient Tomb with a Petal, and potentially taking 2 damage. Just debating on how he wants to tap it. He does continue to tap it the correct way. And we have a Chalice on 1. Looks to be a Brainstorm in hand, potentially a Force of Will coming from Hunter. It does turn off a lot of cards in his deck. He does do 2 drops, but the cantrips are pretty important, I believe. So we're going to see a Cycle of the Street Wraith. Maybe he can find a Daze instead. Let's see what that top card is. It is an Underground Sea. More than likely going to see a Force of Will or a Brainstorm. Okay. Still digging for a Daze. Doesn't look like he found it. It does look like there's a Frog on top, so probably just going to see a Force here, and then a Daze, or a Force, and then the Frog. So, can't really afford to let that resolve, I don't believe. So, Force of Will, pitching Force of Will. We, as players who don't play Force of Will, love to see that, because that means he was all in on what he had to do, drew a card, and played a fetch, and back over to Peter. See if Peter can capitalize on the slow start from this Tempo Doomsday deck, and take advantage while he can. He does have a Cavern of Souls in hand, so any Eldrazi he casts here is going to be uncounterable, and it looks like he has a Glaring Frustrator, and yes, it is getting ready to come out and perhaps start punishing Hunter. So, no additional plays there. Hunter down to 16. He's going to fetch an Underground Sea, and Doomsday is in hand. Let's see if he's able to Dark Rit Doomsday and make something happen here. So there's the Dark Ritual. We have the Doomsday. It does take him down to 8 life, and he has to do a pass the turn pile. Not really great when you're playing against a Glaring Frustrator, that if any cards or colors in his hand, it can get very scary very quickly. 2 more life paid for 2 mana here. And it's actually not paying 2 life, it's just taking 2 damage, because the ring does that. Kozilek's Command, it looks like he's going to do it for 2, and that's going to trigger, or 3, actually, sorry, it is for 2. It's going to trigger and make 3 spawns, and then that'll deal 3 damage to Hunter. He can swing for 2, so let's see what else he has in store here. So 2, if he likes what he sees on top of his library, he might be able to pull this out. You definitely want to pass the turn once Doomsday has resolved, because typically you're not going to get another turn after that. Kozilek into the graveyard after the Scry and draw. Another Ancient Tomb in play. Gives him 2 additional mana. Looks like he has 3 mana coming out. 2 life. And a Walking Ballista. That'll trigger. Put Hunter to 3. He'll be able to attack for 2. And then the Walking Ballista should finish him off. And that is exactly what happened. See you in game number 2. If you've been enjoying our content, please be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. At the game number 2, Hunter is on the play. Both players have kept 7. Looking at Hunter's sideboard, looks like we may be moving more towards a tempo variant of the deck by siding out the Doomsdays and the Dark Rituals to bring in Murktides and Burrogoyfs, perhaps some Fatal Pushes as well, or Consign to Memories to slow Peter down on his combo-esque deck. Actually, it's not even combo-esque, it is combo. It's Bomberman, it's Bomberman, and it can kill rather quickly if he's able to piece together Oriox Salvager as well as an LED and a Walking Ballista. So it is a 3-card combo for infinite mana to make a gigantic Walking Ballista. We'll see 3 mana spent right here, or 2 mana with 1 floating. We have a Goblin Engineer coming into play, putting an LED in the graveyard. So one piece of that puzzle has been solved with the LED in the graveyard. It does look like he has an Oriox Salvager in his hand already, so that's 2 pieces of the combo. So he really just needs to find one more piece, which is the Walking Ballista, and he'll potentially be able to just wrap this up fairly early. Hunter has Scryed with his Undercity Sewers. He does have a Tamiyo in hand, looks like a Brainstorm as well, and a Frog. I wonder which one's more important to get on the board at this point, the Frog or the Tamiyo. Let's see what he decides. And it's a Brainstorm first with a fetch land out, so he can at least set his hand up to be a little bit more resilient to combo pieces, as well as start to build his own game plan. So it looks like a Tamiyo is going back, and he has a Fatal Push and a Dark Ritual in hand, putting the Dark Ritual away, Fatal Push back in, and it's either going to be a Tamiyo or it's going to be a Fatal Push on this Engineer. The Engineer, not really that big of a threat when there's an Oriox Salvager. It's a Thoughtseize instead. So, yeah, it takes a Salvager. Looks like there's another one in his hand anyway, so it doesn't really help too much here. But as long as he doesn't find the Walking Ballista, Cavern on Human, and it looks like this Salvager is coming into play. And an attack for 1 coming over from Peter. And that's part of the namesake of the deck for Bomberman, is he can make infinite mana using his LED by just constantly sacking it for 3 mana and then paying 2 to put it back into his hand, and then he can play it for free and go from there. Hunter has taken a read on the Oriox Salvager, which is also why we put it up. It's not a very common card that's played anymore, so if you're new to Legacy, it's an oldie but a goodie, originally printed in 5th Dawn. So, and then Artifact Matters block with Mirrodin and something else. I don't remember what the other one was, back when blocks still existed. Got a fetch land with a stick figure drawn on it, so that's exciting. We'll see if he's going to, well, I mean, I don't really know what he can do here. He can go get a white mana, I think, to at least be able to turn on the Oriox Salvager if he finds the last piece of the puzzle, and he does do that with a Plateau. 2 mana, he's going to return the LED and put it in play. And we're going to see a Daze on the LED, making Peter pay spend 2 life to counter it. And we'll see a Fatal Push on the Oriox Salvager. So he was using the Daze to turn on the Revolt on Fatal Push to get rid of that other Salvager. Heads up play from Hunter on that. So we'll probably see a Frog deployed here. And it's actually bigger than a Frog at the moment. It is a Murktide. So the nice thing is, Frog being in hand next time, he can grow his graveyard with Frog just by pitching, and then eating the graveyard with the Frog to grow the Murktide even larger. Windswept Heath, City of Traders, and looks like 1 card I can't quite make out in Peter's hand. Tamiyo off the top, I think we knew that was there. Maybe we didn't, because oh yeah, we should know that was there, Brainstorm. But I thought he fetched, but no, maybe he didn't. He brought it back with Fatal Push, so that makes sense. 2 mana Frog deploy. Yes, it is. Peter at 6, Murktide is 1 swing away, and there we have it. Game 3, Peter on the play, holding 6. Hunter is on 7. Quick fetch for a Plateau, a Lotus Petal, and we have an Agatha's Soul Cauldron. So I think most people know what that card does at this point. If not, let me know, and I'll be sure to put it into the deck breakdown next. Someone's Bigfoot just hit the camera, so that's pretty normal. There's a lot of people walking around that time of night. So, and this is towards the end. All right, we've got a Cavern on Human, and taking use of those human tokens that I have over there to make sure that it is notated that we actually know what the cavern is on. Thank you so much for that. And I got a Petal, Consign to Memory, and a Frog maybe? Alright, we have a Frog in play. We've got 4 mana coming out. This is an Oriox Salvager. Yes, it is uncounterable. So we're pretty close to the combo here. Well, I guess, I don't know, close. But we do have a salvager in play, which can bring back the Agate the Salt Cauldron right away, and it can be replayed again. So force pitching force is pretty rough there. We're going to see a hop on the frog and see if Hunter is able to find a way to deal with either this graveyard or with this salvager. See a ponder come out. Didn't like what he saw on top. Shuffled it up and passes back, sitting only on one land. Not ideal for a tempo / Doomsday deck to want to do that. But we will probably see the Agate the Soul Cauldron bought and paid for, as well as, well, 4 colorless mana coming. It looks like it's a Karn in hand. So Karn in play. Any answer to that. Can't be a daze, but it can be a force of will or force negation. It does look like he has Fatal Push in hand for the Auriok Salvager, but he has no way to revolt it yet. And a pass back over to Hunter. Finds his second land, so he has Revolt on at this point for the Fatal Push. See if he wants to fire this Brainstorm before he fetches. Nope, chooses to fetch first to see a fresh 3 cards more than likely. Fatal Push, good attack, or good choice with the Revolt already activated. An attack for Frog doesn't have to eat the graveyard, draws 1, and he has Force Blue card back up again to stop any shenanigans. So we do know that Peter has the other Auriok Salvager in his hand, and he just drew a Welder, so let's see how he wants to capitalize on this. 2 mana from the City of Traders, and 1 mana putting the Welder in play. Looks like it's a Force of Negation, not a Force of Will, so wrong forces in hand, unfortunately. And now we have another piece of the combo. An Auriok Salvager coming down will allow him to eat that Phyrexian Devour, and then typically just combo off from there. So, uncounterable Salvager. We got 1 turn to figure this out. And there's a land, so we can see a Brainstorm come. Well, Frog first. It's always a good idea to look at or grab an extra card before you Brainstorm. So 1 here. So essentially Hunter will get to see 5 cards this turn. His cantrip may find him more. Granted, the Cauldron has to be replayed from the Salvager from hand, so the Force Negation will turn that off if he wants to go that route. So, Ponder. Murktide doesn't like what he saw and chooses to shuffle draw. Got another land here, and he's going to pass back over. So he looks like he has the same idea of force negating the Soul Cauldron that's in the graveyard. So we need to activate the Auriok to get the Soul Cauldron, but again, it has to be hard cast, so Force Negation does unfortunately eat that. And we'll see how Peter is able to outplay or outmuscle this. So a Chalice on 1. And it looks like we have a consigned memory on that, just so we can cover our bases. Because we do have a Brainstorm and a Force Negation in hand. But the Salvager can literally just pick it back up and play it again. So it looks like he was trying to probably land the Chalice just so he could move it with the Welder and bring that Agate the Soul Cauldron back into play without it worried about getting counterspelled. Alright, so Hunter has a lot to consider here. He only has 3 cards in hand. That would make the Frog a 5/5 or 5/6, and then 1 more card would make it 6/7, but no additional way to actually get that just 1 step above. And looks like that Welders is going to be able to move that Soul Cauldron out of the graveyard. Alright, trigger. Finds a Ponder. So he can dig for... I don't know. He probably should have digged for a little heavier. Oh wait, Chalice is on 1, so he can't dig. I'm an idiot. Sorry about that. Looks like this is just gonna wrap it up here. Chalice on 0. Move the Chalice out. Bring the Soul Cauldron in. Tap the Soul Cauldron. Use the Phyrexian Devourer, and then put a 1/1 counter on the Auriok Salvager. And now he can make the Auriok Salvager as big as he wants by exiling cards from his library until he has 17 power on the Salvager, and then that will be the game. So we'll see him start moving through that now, and just putting 1/1 counter every time he exiles a card out of the graveyard. No Fatal Push is online. Force Negation doesn't do anything because this is all happening at instant speed using the Auriok Salvager. So looks like he's found enough there to deal 17 damage to Hunter. That's game. Thanks for watching. See you next time. If you've been enjoying our content, please be sure to like, subscribe, and comment below.